This John Lothian News video is sponsored by
In 2009, global regulators agreed to develop a framework to monitor and store market data. 5 years later, while much progress has been made, there's still a long way to go. Marisol Collazo, head of DTCC's data repository, tells us what is happening now and what the market can expect over the next 18 months.
What's next in terms of the work ahead in the next year is certain jurisdictions have not yet gone live with their reporting regime. Canada has gone forward in terms of implementing its regulations. Reporting commences in October, and DTCC has been registered for the 3 provinces in Canada that have passed on their regulations: Ontario, Manitoba, and AMF Quebec. We're still waiting in the US on the SEC to finalize its regulations and the reporting to occur there. 5 years into it, we now have a large amount of data. Regulators have passed their regulations, so the data is being collected by trade repositories in general. And it's really the first, what I call the first phase of reporting, which is the collection of the data. And we now need to move into the next phase around data quality and usefulness of the information to the regulators. We have seen where certain jurisdictions have gone down different paths. Certainly DTCC, working with the industry, has been very focused on maintaining as much harmonization as possible in the data fields. In some cases, we have seen success. For example, legal entity identifier has certainly helped in terms of that consistency. There's still more work to be done around the trade identifier and product identifier, but I think certain steps forward have been a measurable improvement in terms of how the data is coming through the trade repositories. It really comes down to how we make this data useful and how we aggregate this data back to the regulators. So it's going to really focus on what are the core data fields that require that aggregation, and then really ensuring that there's the right standard and quality around those core data fields. It really requires the regulators to engage in terms of data consistency and the data standards as to what fields they require for aggregation. This is necessary work that the regulators address privacy concerns around global data aggregation, and that they prioritize for what purpose they are intending to use the data. The local regulations in jurisdiction have focused on a very broad scope of purposes, I'll say, spanning from market abuse, surveillance, economic analysis to systemic risk. Focus on the data fields that are key to systemic risk, and then look at the standards that exist around that. And that has to happen. Otherwise, regulators will have misleading information if they're only looking within their jurisdiction, as they only see what is transacting in their markets and not the interconnectedness elements. In the immediate term, over the next 18 months, it's really going to be focusing on the data that we're receiving from a DTCC perspective and ensuring that it has the highest data quality. So really focusing in on consistency, and to the extent that we can look at standards that we can drive together with the industry, that's the next 18 months of work that we're going to be looking to do.